wing doom, it's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Welcome and good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet. Oh, really? I am connected and I'm communicated just fine. So why is it that the studio is not hearing me? It's coming over just fine. Anyway, we are going to have a great show for you today. I trust that everybody is ready to go. I trust all is good. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and get busy.
I think it's okay. We just can't hear you here.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, folks, we got a great show for you today. We are going to talk a whole lot about what most of you know is happening throughout the world, Venezuela, and much more. But before we get started, of course, we're going to go to the studio, who evidently is having a little bit of issues connecting with our signal. So let's go ahead and see if they are currently there. Studio, can you hear us now?
Yeah, it's not connecting with the signal. We just weren't hearing your voice coming in over here, but I hear it on the radio, so it's working.
All right, go ahead. Come on in. What's up? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everyone!
Well, you know what? This New Year, we are going to have to take charge and make sure that things don't continue the way it has started, because it's only January 5th, and the start ain't good. The start ain't good. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to Jack. Give me that quick update that you said you had.
Okay. What we got today on Egberto's show is today's program confronts a dangerous contradiction at the heart of U.S. foreign policy while Washington struggles to govern effectively at home, failing on health care infrastructure and democratic legitimacy. It continues to impose violence, sanctions, and regime change fantasies abroad. World Beyond War activist Gabriel Aguirre joins the show to dissect the U.S. invasion of Venezuela, the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro, and the enduring resistance of the people who reject imperial management. The conversation exposes not only what the United States is doing to Venezuela, but what those actions reveal about America. I also wrote down some of the day's headlines here today. It's looking pretty bleak for America. You're going in the wrong direction. Iran declares full-scale war with U.S. as 1,000 dead after 12-day blitz. Durgan's source. Colombian guerrillas threaten U.S. after Maduro's abduction. Amaze Lab. Seoul U.S. Defense Metal contractor collapses with mass layoffs, meaning 100% foreign reliance on steel. Penny Gym. Trump tariff whiplash wipes out $100 per steer overnight as U.S. herd hits 64-year low. Okay, and another one with the cat. Tyson shuts down two more plants. Smallest U.S. herd in 64 years. Blames Trump's. 3,200 workers fired as Tyson closes the beef plant in Nebraska. Okay, water news. We got scientists uncover alarming health risks linked to bottled water. Another headline on climate compass. American Great Drought, why the water crisis is just beginning. America, you're looking pretty shaky here, and you're the ones we're doing the shaking. And I'm just beside myself that this administration is just out of bounds, just totally out of bounds on what they're doing.
Let me tell you, what you just did there by highlighting those headlines, let me tell you, it's the importance of that, right? Right now, today, mostly everything is going to be concentrated on Venezuela and a few other topics. But there are so many other topics: the plastics and water, the layoffs in the steel industry. Even though we were supposed to protect the steel industry with the tariffs, right? The issues of the very small herd, the issues of the plants closing down. Yeah, there's a lot happening beyond just Venezuela or beyond what Donald Trump is doing. And unless we get to it, and as you said, these stories are hidden in papers all over the country, all over the world, but it sure is not hidden the places where most people are, which is on social media and mainstream media, which is why our responsibility as independent media is to do exactly what you just did, Jack, and everybody's responsibility that is hearing my voice right now. That is the sort of stuff that we need to be doing. Thank you for that, Jack. Before we get started, Mike, do you have anything to add?
Don't forget Nigeria. I don't know if that was in there.
No, Nigeria was not in there, and we bombed Nigeria as well. That got out of the headlines rather quickly, didn't it?
Well, it is Africa. You know?
Well, that's true. All right, let's go ahead and get busy, folks. Before I get started, as you know, the invasion just occurred. And what I want to do is play a 12-minute or so piece that I did with Gabriel Aguirre. Gabriel Aguirre joined. First of all, let me tell you, when the bombing occurred, I got up in Sunday morning, and I'll be honest, Saturday morning, I was completely and entirely shocked because I honestly did not believe this guy was going to go. And I don't think he understands what America has done in Latin America. And as Latin America has gotten more liberated in their minds, how much is actually going to be stood for. So when I really didn't think his puppeteers would have allowed him to invade, but evidently they like taking chances, so they invaded and they got Maduro. Uh, Pacifica Network does every when things like this happen, they do a live stuff. So I got a call. I woke up and a few minutes later got a call. Hey, we'd love to put a panel together to talk about this issue for national broadcast. And we joined, and we got an activist in Caracas, Venezuela, online. So I did a quick interview with Mr. Aguirre, and then yesterday I did a longer interview, a whole hour-long interview with him that didn't only cover the invasion, but also covered Chavismo. We had a lot more to go over, but I wanted to keep it on under 1 hour. Now, that one, I'll put the link in the blog for this post that you can go look at, or you can just go to Egberto at politicsandright.com/newsletter if you want to hear that interview. But this short one that we did at WVAI with him is as well informative. So that's what I'm going to play. It's about 12 minutes long, and then we'll be right back. We have a lot to talk about.
Speaking from Venezuela, as far as I understand, Gabriel Aguirre, he's an organizer for World Beyond War. How are the people of Venezuela? Is there enough time passed to see a reaction of the people in Venezuela to what just occurred?
Hi, hello. Thanks for having me. Sorry for because my English is work in progress. I will try to speak.
Let me jump in. We do have someone. Egberto has said he would be happy to translate, and we'll do it live. So if you feel you need to go into Spanish, just go into Spanish and give us a moment, and we'll translate.
Okay, wonderful. Egberto, ¿puedes repetirme la pregunta, por favor? Gracias.
Él quiere saber cómo primeramente el pueblo, cómo está el pueblo en respeto a lo que ha pasado con la invasión de los Estados Unidos.
Mira, en primer lugar, nuestro pueblo está totalmente conmocionado porque nunca antes en la historia republicana de Venezuela se había generado un ataque de este tipo. Es decir, Es un ataque militar sin precedentes.
What he's saying is that the people are very emotional right now and concerned because never in the history of Venezuela has a foreign power ever come in with the force and magnitude as the United States has thus far.
Estamos hablando de un ataque militar que se realizó en horas de la madrugada en el país en 3 regiones diferentes, en Caracas, en Miranda y en el estado Vargas, de forma simultánea, por supuesto, generando una gran conmoción en las personas.
He said it wasn't just an attack on Caracas, but in Caracas and 2 other states, and he said it's an emotional hit that the people had never seen before.
Hay personas que han sido objeto de estos ataques y por supuesto están lesionadas, están siendo atendidas en los hospitales, pero es una situación de una gran conmoción en general.
He said there are a lot of people that are actually hurt, injured, and they're headed to the hospital. Déjame hacerte una pregunta. ¿Sabes de venezolanos muertos, ya sea si son militares o ciudadanos?
Aún no ha sido informado oficialmente, ¿ok? Si hay cifras de personas que hayan lamentablemente fallecido producto de estos ataques, pero sí se contabilizan personas que han sido heridas durante el desarrollo de estas acciones.
Okay, what I asked him is if he knows if, other than the military, if there are dead civilians, and he said that has not been noted yet in the news, but he knows that there are, in fact, a whole lot of people that are injured.
Ha sido un ataque cobarde, ha sido un ataque artero, aprovechándose de las fechas y las festividades que los venezolanos y las venezolanas en paz queríamos disfrutar. Realmente nos encontramos frente a un grave hecho de violación al derecho internacional y a la Carta Democrática de las Naciones Unidas.
He said it's a cowardly act. The United States took advantage, knowing that how people in Venezuela in this time celebrate, the New Year, etc., and it is something that is against and entirely the United Nations Charter.
Hay que decirlo, esto que ha cometido el gobierno de Donald Trump es un acto de guerra contra el pueblo venezolano y contra los pueblos de América Latina.
He said that this is an act of war by Donald Trump and against all of Latin America. Te quiero hacer una pregunta. Donald Trump piensa que él puede entrar en Venezuela, tomar su petróleo. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué pasará con los activos, digamos, los militares de Colombia o los de otros? ¿Entrarán ellos para tratar de hacer que no pueden robar tu petróleo?
Voy a responderte primero mencionando algo que ya decía James. Después de escuchar las declaraciones de Donald Trump sobre la forma como piensan ellos gestionar y administrar Venezuela, estamos completamente sorprendidos y frente a una persona que tiene delirios de ser el rey del mundo y el policía del mundo.
He said that before he answers my question, he wants to say that Donald Trump is delirious into believing that he wants to be king of the world, and that the way that he believes he's going to take care of running Venezuela is just that, delirium. Sí, señor.
Pero esto es muy bueno, Alberto, decírselo a los pueblos del mundo y sobre todo al pueblo estadounidense. Ha quedado claro que las acciones del gobierno y la administración Trump en contra de Venezuela no han sido nunca para restituir la democracia, no ha sido nunca para la defensa de los derechos humanos, no ha sido nunca para la protección del pueblo estadounidense bajo la excusa y la falsa narrativa del crimen transnacional o del crimen contra las drogas. El único objetivo de Estados Unidos que siempre ha perseguido en todas las intervenciones militares en el mundo no ha sido otro sino que apropiarse de los recursos naturales y estratégicos de todas las naciones.
This has never been anything about democracy or the people. It has always been about taking the natural resources of the countries under which we invade. And, we've seen that quite often. Now, lo que quería preguntarte, hay muchas guerrillas, ya sea venezolanos, colombianos, peruanos o lo que sea. ¿Crees que esto va a abrir la puerta para que ellos entran al país para tener una mini guerra en todos lados?
Estados Unidos ha abierto la puerta con esta acción de guerra a que exista un proceso de desestabilización total de la región.
Okay, what I asked him is, did the United States open the door for guerrillas throughout Latin America to come in and be a part of the liberation? I mean, remember, Hugo Chavez started what was known as the Bolivarian Revolution. And what I'm asking is, did Trump, or can we consider Trump someone who likely will really get that all started, albeit not the way it should be? And he says that, in effect, the United States has likely opened that door.
América Latina puede ser el nuevo Medio Oriente del mundo.
Latin America will become, or could become, the next Middle East of the world.
And I would like to go to Gabriel Aguirre and ask him about some of the benefits that the Bolivar Revolution brought to the people of Venezuela.
Gabriel, lo que te quiere...
Gracias por esta pregunta. A ver, mira, Venezuela desde el año 1998 fue uno de los países que logró, a partir del triunfo de las fuerzas populares, atender la inmensa deuda social que existía en nuestro país, principalmente permitiéndole a nuestra gente y a nuestro pueblo acceder a la salud, a la educación, a la vivienda, al derecho a la recreación, al derecho al desarrollo en términos generales.
What he said is that since 1998, under the Bolivarian Revolution that Chavez started, there was a debt owed to society, a social debt owed to society, and that was taken care of. And in fact, poverty and healthcare and all of that got much better during that period, things that had been forgotten for some time. Señor?
Y eso fue justamente por la razón, porque el petróleo, el dinero del petróleo que le pertenece a las y los venezolanos, fue destinado a poder atender esa deuda social. Y allí tiene razón Trump en algo que él dice: mientras él pretende devolver ese petróleo y ese dinero a las compañías y a las corporaciones estadounidenses, nosotros seguimos insistiendo en la necesidad de ser soberanos en el uso de nuestro petróleo y de nuestros vastos recursos estratégicos naturales.
He said that the oil, Trump is right. The oil should be used for the people, not, but oil is going for the corporation. But he said that the oil under the Bolivarian, under Chavez, was used for that social debt that had occurred for decades to take care of its people, which is what it did.
Venezuela tuvo la capacidad de universalizar la educación gratuita y de calidad en todos los niveles durante lo que ha sido los años más recientes. Venezuela acabó con el analfabetismo en el país. Venezuela, en el tema de la salud, logró tener en cada barrio popular un centro de asistencia y atención médica para nuestros pueblos. Venezuela logró construir 5 millones de viviendas para el pueblo venezolano.
Let me just say that Venezuela had education for people for free, healthcare for free. Not only healthcare in that manner, but in every few blocks, there were places of health for people to go to. Some things that we are trying to work on here ourselves, Medicare for all. But I mean, in effect, the resources of the country was being used to solve the social debt to the people. He also mentioned in the first part that I forgot to say that Venezuela must remain sovereign over its own natural resources.
Venezuela logró tener uno de los salarios mínimos más altos de este continente, cerca de $800 aproximadamente mensuales para las personas. Es decir, había una garantía de los derechos económicos, de los derechos sociales y del derecho más importante, que es el derecho al desarrollo.
And Venezuela, on the continent, on the South American continent, at one point had the highest wages, not just because it's how it was designed to have higher wages, the minimum wage that we're working for here in the United States. And continúa.
Entonces, todos esos grandes problemas y esas grandes denuncias sociales que hoy el pueblo estadounidense están exigiendo en su país al gobierno de Donald Trump, en Venezuela fuimos capaces de lograr garantizarlos bajo la acción sostenida de la disposición y la puesta de estos recursos para atender la inmensa deuda social de nuestro país.
Wow, that's big. What he's saying, that all what Americans are fighting for now with Trump, the social services, the minimum wage, the health care, that is something that they had attained under the auspices of using their natural resources for the better good of the people.
Y estos derechos fueron pretendidos ser arrancados a partir de las sanciones que fueron aplicadas contra el país desde el año 2014, cuando declararon a Venezuela como una amenaza inusual y extraordinaria para la seguridad nacional y la política exterior de Estados Unidos bajo el gobierno de Barack Obama, cuyo gobierno también tiene grandes responsabilidades en todo lo que ha ocurrido en Venezuela y lo que ocurrió esta madrugada en nuestro país.
He said that specifically the problem started, the failure of Venezuela's economy started because of the sanction imposed by the United States of America. And it's not just Donald Trump. It was the Obama administration, etc. And if I may narrate a bit here, this is a neoliberal modus operandi is what we're looking at here. They could not afford a democratically socialist country to be successful, so it had to be destroyed. Continúa, por favor, señor.
Cierro con esto. Venezuela le han robado 130,000 millones de dólares y hoy el gobierno de Donald Trump pretende seguir robando a nuestro pueblo y robando sus recursos, pretendiendo auto reconocerse y brindarse los recursos que le pertenecen, insisto, al pueblo venezolano, a las venezolanas y a los venezolanos.
Lastly, he says, I want to tell you that this country was robbed of $130 billion by external forces by taking our resources. That's money out of the del pueblo, out of the country proper. All right, we did that. Yeah, that interview occurred probably about 8-10 hours after the invasion. So he had not yet assessed how much damage there was. I subsequently did an interview with him. He's an activist with War of Peace or No Wars, with an activist organization out there in Venezuela. So it is so important that the 1 hour interview is a lot more substantive, but I think folks have pretty much get the point. Let me just point a few things out. There are a lot of people, including some Venezuelans that are over here, that have not seen the entire neoliberal big picture. First of all, there's a lot of lies that are going around with respect to what occurred in Venezuela. You know, they talk about Chavez nationalizing the oil industry. That never happened. The oil industry was in Venezuela was nationalized by Carlos Andrés Pérez. You hear me speak about him all of the time when I talk about Venezuela. And it was nationalized because for the American companies, just like, and I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. I'm just making statements of facts here. They were taking Venezuela's natural resource and maximizing their profits and giving very little profit for what they were extracting to Venezuela to the country. The plutocracy in that country, the oligarchy in Venezuela were always doing fine. But the natural resources of that country was not being returned to the country. When I talk about the policies of the country creating a Hugo Chavez, that's exactly what I meant. Because eventually Hugo Chavez had a reason to come in. Look at all these companies here, and we are not making any profits. Even after nationalization, they are still having contracts that extract most of the profits out of our country. America would not openly tolerate that. We only allow our oligarchs to rob us. We don't allow foreign oligarchs or foreign corporations to rob us. Just our own oligarchs. But henceforth, so therefore, when Maduro came in, he went further with not the nationalization of the oil industry had already occurred under Carlos Andrés Pérez in the 70s. He came in the 90s, and he said, well, you know what? These contracts have to be rewritten. Also, why will we allow foreign companies to have more than 50% ownership in anything here on our natural resource, on the production of our natural resources? Cannot happen. And so that got the corporations real mad. And then they allow America to do what America does, and that is invade for oil. Let me tell you a few things here. Um, for those, there are a lot of people who think that the market is flooded with oil. America makes enough oil on its own, and not only that, but there's really an oversupply of oil, etc., etc., etc. There is a sad reality, and now let's put education cap on. But before I get started, I didn't do what I need to do. Welcome aboard, Joe from Los Angeles, California. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Reyes Núñez, ¿cómo estás? RC Wrecker, welcome aboard. Jacqueline Campisi, la profesora. Teachers, you know I love teachers from Katy, Texas. Kathy Talbot, welcome aboard. Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. We also have from Kingwood, Texas, Eric. Chuck Fenacchio. Hey, Chuck Fenacchio. He is the president of One Pair States. How you doing, Chuck? He's working very hard to make Medicare for all effective on a state by state level. Doing very hard work. Great work from Chuck Finacchio. Thank you for being here, my brother. Cheryl Elkins, who did a great protest out on the bridge in Massachusetts over this weekend against war in Venezuela. Thank you for being the activist that you are, Cheryl Elkins. Gina Pulano, how you doing? Look, this show is interactive, folks. We expect action. Helen Rudkin, Jenny School, Suzette Jensen, Gilda Johnson, M. Hope, Nancy Ann, Peggy Fokima, Lynette, Jane B. in North Carolina. Welcome aboard, Astedian. Look, if I missed you, forgive me. I need to get back to the program. All right. Minute used. Here we go. There is a sad reality. You know, in America, we produce mostly what one would call good oil. Sweet, light, crude. Easy into other types of products, gasoline and kerosene, etc. That's what we produce. But the dirty little secret is that's not what's the most profitable. Canada, Mexico, and Venezuela have sour crude, heavy crude, the crude that needs a lot of processing. And we build a lot of refineries on the Gulf Coast. Sorry, I'm still getting over that long cold that's been going on for over a week and a half. Anyway, we built all these expensive refineries along the Gulf Coast. And we catered those refineries for handling, guess what? Foreign oil. So that foreign oil requires a lot of processing. But guess what else with that foreign oil? That foreign oil, that heavy oil, is cheap. Our light sweet crude oil is expensive. It's good oil. It sells at a premium. But that nasty stuff from Venezuela, sour crude, that nasty stuff from Mexico, sour crude, that nasty stuff from Canada, sour crude, it needs special functioning. So that means that they have to sell that oil for cheap. Well, you know, Donald Trump is raising hell about with Canada and Mexico and all of that. So what is the best way in his mind, in his little feebled mind, to get yet another source of sour crude? Venezuela. Venezuela used to produce over 3 million barrels of oil. With sanctions and embargoes and quarantines, they're down to under 1 million barrels a day or so. So taking over, running Venezuela is the answer. It's not about the people. It's not about democracy. If it were about the people, the vice president who just got installed Dilcia, what can't remember her name right now. I will in a minute. She would be, instead it would have been Machado that they've selected. Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize. Machado said she wanted to give the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. She is the lead of the opposition in Venezuela. And you know what? Donald Trump then comes back. Rodriguez, thank you very much, Cheryl Elkins. Rodriguez. You know what happened then? It then says, she's not popular in the country, so they're not going to really go ahead and install her as the president. He said that, he implied that at the news conference. I want you guys to understand that. They claim that there's not a democracy in Venezuela, that somehow she is, this is an illegitimate government, but somehow the opposition isn't popular, so he stays with the opposition in government, meaning Delcia Rodriguez. Understand, this has nothing to do with democracy. This has nothing to do with the people. This has everything to do with just oil. With just oil. Let's remember that. Chuck Fernandez says, please also call attention to the 5th anniversary of Trump instigated January 6th fascist coup that is still ongoing. Venezuela is yet another demonstration of what billionaire fueled fascism looks like. Exactly. So let me talk to you about the crude. Sour crude sells at a discount on global markets because it is harder to refine and contains higher sulfur content. Producers must accept lower prices to move it. For refiners, equipment with cokers, hydrocrackers, and advanced desulfurization units, that discount becomes an opportunity rather than a burden. These refineries can buy cheap crude, process it into high value products, and pocket the difference. The wider the price gap between sour crude and refined fuels, the larger the margin. This is why refineries along the U.S. Gulf Coast spent decades upgrading specifically to handle heavy crude from places like Venezuela, Canada, and parts of the Middle East. Venezuelan oil, in particular, was historically among the heaviest in the world and therefore among the cheapest. Refiners that could process it enjoyed a built in competitive advantage over simpler refineries that relied on light crude. Light sweet crude, like much of the oil produced from U.S. shale, requires less processing and is easier to refine. But that ease worked against refiners' profits. Light crude typically commands a higher purchase price, which compresses margins. When too much light oil floods the market, refiners face lower spreads unless they export it to regions where it earns a premium. This is why U.S. companies often ship domestic light oil overseas while importing heavier grades of domestic refining. It is not about national need, it's about margin optimization. Capitalism, folks, capitalism. It has nothing to do about making, when they talk about we want to be self sufficient, makes no sense. Complex refineries extract more value from every barrel of sour crude by producing a slate of lucrative outputs: gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, petroleum coke, and chemical feedstocks. Even the waste product generates revenue. Petroleum coke, for example, finds markets in cement and overseas power generation. What looks like inefficiency from an environmental perspective, hear this, is an efficiency from a profit perspective. In other words, screw the environment. Hey, but we make more money. But you don't, right? It's just the externalities are not charged. Sanction politics reinforce this model. When U.S. policy restricted imports from Venezuela, refiners did not abandon the heavy crude strategy. They pivoted to Canadian oil sands and other suppliers rather than retooling refineries to favor lighter crude or accelerating a transition away from fossil fuels. Retrofitting refineries costs billions and offers uncertain returns. Continuing to process discounted sour crude, where possible, keeps profit predictably higher and shareholders satisfied. And remember, we're picking a fight with Canada. So if Canada decide to send its crude somewhere else, we need to have a backup. Hey, Venezuela, ¿cómo estás? From a progressive standpoint, this reveals a core contradiction in U.S. energy policy. The country produces vast quantities of oil, yet consumers remain exposed to global price shocks. Corporations arbitrage international markets while the, the public absorbs volatility, pollution, and climate damage. Refinery profits rise precisely because the system externalizes environmental and social costs. In short, oil companies make more money refining imported sour oil because the system was engineered that way. Complex refineries turn dirty oil into clean profits. The result is an energy economy that privileges corporate margins over climate stability, democratic accountability, and rational planning. Until energy policy centers public interest rather than refinery economics, this dynamic will continue, regardless of oil how much oil the United States produces. I mean, we only see the top line, folks. We only see the top line. What's going on behind the scene is dirty. It's nasty. It's evil. It's selfish. It puts you at risk. It puts you at risk. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. The phone lines are open. Telephone number 713-526. We have more to cover, but I'd like to hear from you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Jimmy is on the line. First caller. Come on in, Jimmy.
Good morning, Alberto. The headline
Happy
in
New
the
Year,
Houston
brother.
Chronicle, the headline in the Houston Chronicle Sunday was "America shocks the world," and it was an appropriate headline from what Trump did to invade Venezuela with 150 airplanes. They kidnapped Maduro and his wife, brought them to New York, charged them with charges of dealing with drugs and weapons. And I've always been amazed with how Venezuela is supposed to have all these oil reserves, yet their economy has collapsed. Over 2 million people have left Venezuela because of the collapsed economy. I don't understand why they can't do a better job of running their economy. Right now, a friend of mine in the oil business said that Venezuela is producing 800,000 barrels of oil a day. And another lady I know from Venezuela, she is furious with Trump for invading Venezuela. And so right now, I think our country should set up a democratic election in Venezuela so they can elect a person who deserves to be president, not have a dictator. That would be one good thing coming out of this.
Let me ask you this. Who gives us... Jimmy, let me interrupt you a second because that kind of statement really irks me. And let me ask you this. Who gives us the right to tell the Venezuelan people who they should elect?
Well, no, we wouldn't say who they should elect. We would have set up a democratic election, and they could, whoever runs down there.
But my question again,
they would be elected.
My question again, who gives us the right to do that? We believe the pretext that they don't want what they have, that what they have wasn't elected democratically. We are lied to when we are told that the financial problems that Venezuela is having is caused by Venezuela and not by the U.S. and what Western countries have done because they've decided to take their own resources. Let me give an example. As somebody directly in Venezuela who lives in Venezuela, who loves his country, that I just interviewed, Gabriel Aguirre, he points out something important. All the things that we are fighting for right now, they started to attain it with their Bolivarian revolution when they used their own natural resources for making their people richer. It actually happened. You can read about it and you can look it up. Now, what has not happened what has further happened is that the United States applied sanctions on Venezuela. It limited who could do work in Venezuela, and it also caused the degradation of their systems in Venezuela. So, I mean, while we are largely responsible for much of what has happened down there, and then we say they can't govern when we made sure that they couldn't govern.
I understand that in the last election, Maduro lost the election, but he stayed in power. He kept power.
Who told you that though? Who told you that?
I think that must have been in the news that he lost the election.
Exactly.
He stayed in power.
Arturo Dominguez, a reporter, a Latin American reporter, said that much of the information that was fed to the United States news about corruption in the vote wasn't true. Okay, again, that's why I talk about, look, the United States want a government that is friendly to them, that they can continue an extraction policy with Venezuela. If the election doesn't go the way they have it going, then somehow the election was stolen, just like Donald Trump here. If the election doesn't go the way they want it to go, then the election is stolen. I don't know. Look, I am not a fan of Maduro. Let me be very clear about that. I was a fan of Hugo Chavez, because Hugo Chavez actually came into power for a very specific reason. The other guy is not all that. It's different. Okay, but the people supposedly voted for him. I know what we hear in the United States, but it's not what's heard in other news networks. So we have to be careful about that. Anyway, I got 3 other calls, Jimmy. Anything else you want to add real quickly, my brother?
I'd like to try to clear up who actually won the election. Did Maduro get more votes than his opponent, or did his opponent have more votes than he did, and he just stayed in power? I'd like to find out the truth about that.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, Jimmy. All right, let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Hello.
You're on.
Hello. Yeah. The example Trump is setting for our young people is that might makes right. And we wonder why we see in the newspaper and on the news every day of teenagers shooting at other teenagers. It's an example. I was in HEB a couple days before Christmas wearing my Politics Done Right t-shirt, and someone yelled out, "I love your shirt." Someone yelled out, "I love your shirt. I listen every day. I hate Trump too." So when I got a chance to try to find the guy to shake his hand, he was already gone. So if he's listening, that was me. And the last thing I have is I painted myself into a corner with the paradox. One of my New Year's resolutions was to break all my New Year's resolutions, which meant I had to break that one, which meant I had to keep them, which meant I had to break that one. So it's a circular thing. Only my little brain could paint myself in the corner like that. I'm done. Bye.
Thank you so kindly for that. That makes my day. Somebody likes his shirt, and they're also a listener of Politics Done Right. Love you guys. And for that listener out there that called out, Brother Bruce, love you, brother. All right, let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. How you doing? Happy New Year.
I hope your holiday was restful. I hope you enjoyed a chocolate-filled croissant and a coffee by yourself, alone, quiet, with no politics to discuss, if that was possible.
Not possible,
Hello?
but it's not possible. But look, I enjoyed the holidays. I went out with a few activists as well that I needed to sit down and have some coffee with. But I hope all our listeners realize that we gave you fresh shows every morning, even as we didn't do the shows live. So I just want to let folks know that.
And I will say that that's something that everyone comes to expect from someone whose mark is excellence. So well done. Thursday morning, New Year's Day morning, New York City City Hall, Santa Claus had a weak voice, and I think the Staten Island grade school choir should have been given a little bit more microphone, I think. But that's the only criticism I have of that ceremony. But I think more importantly, what's interesting, I think, is that hopeful message from Mayor Mondami was overshadowed less than 36 hours later by Donald Trump and Marco Rubio planning this months in advance operation. It's illegal against U.S. law and international law operation against another duly elected leader of another country.
Yes.
Whatever. But that opens up the door for others to do the same thing.
You're kind of breaking up in and out, Johnny. But your
Okay.
point is taken, and you're absolutely right. Let me tell you, Johnny, that is one of the first things that I said when I did the live on WBAI, and that was that what Trump has really done is open the door for other countries. In fact, if I were China, I would say, wait a minute, he just did this to Venezuela because maybe it's time for me to do it to Taiwan. The parallels are perfect. Hey, their national interests, all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, they won't do it, and I don't think they should, or rather, I don't want them to, but it gives them an open door to do it. Hell, it also gives Russia the open door to do what they're doing in Ukraine.
When Marco Rubio was lying at that press conference afterwards, remember he was saying, you guys, you other leaders in the world, better wise up, don't act up. He wasn't talking to these other leaders because this country, we pick on weak countries. We don't go after China and Russia. No. He was talking to socialists like Mandami, because that's what we go. We go after Mossadegh, who's duly elected because he wanted to nationalize their oil for their people.
In Iran, yeah.
Venezuela, the same story. And who, who's next? Not just Mandami, but maybe Cuba.
Yeah. Well, Cuba also. Remember, Cuba is sitting on quite a bit of oil themselves. Okay, just on explorers.
That I did not know.
Yeah.
That I did not know. I didn't know. I thought they were a big oil customer of Venezuela's.
They are a big customer of Venezuela. But let me just say this is important for people to know. Because when they talk about the invasion of Cuba for freedom purposes, that's not true. First of all, Cuba produces oil on land right now. They produce oil on their land right now, but they also have quite an extensive source in their over on their sea shelf. So that is exploitable. So just to let you know. Continue, brother.
Yeah, so there were some other messages, but of course I forgot because I didn't write them down on it.
That's all right. Hey, we're back. Hey, Johnny,
anyway,
we're back. We're back live. We're back live. So we'll talk tomorrow.
Yes,
we're
sir,
back
you are
live.
And please stay alive. Stay alive.
Right. We'll try. Thank you, my brother.
Get some volunteers who look like you, and you don't talk about, just like Fidel Castro did. That's what we got to do.
Thank you, brother. Have a great day. You have a good one. Let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald, and Happy New Year, brother.
Hey, Happy New Year, Egberto. You're spot on pretty much, except the fact that when you build your utopia, you ought to learn from all these other people's mistakes and realize that there's always going to be someone that's going to take it over for evil purposes.
True.
And that's just what happened.
True.
We had E85, right? We figured it out. We run our turbos boost. Then we started figuring out everybody's line. That E85 from corn and sorghum and everything else that we were developing started getting watered down to where it was just garbage. And that's what happens with everything. And the byproducts on the refineries, they're always going to find a way to sell it. That's how we get our plastics, our tar, our asphalt.
Or coke. Oh, yeah.
The way we work, we do it to oppress someone else so that we can make a profit. Because remember how bad those robber barons were, the Carnegie's and the Standard Oil and everything else? Well, we got it now where we put it all in corporations. Well, everybody, if you got money, gets a piece of the pie. And are we any better than we were before when we had just one person controlling something?
No, we were not. We're worse.
Exactly.
We're worse. And there's a reason why we're worse. Because that corporation has personhood. And because that corporation has personhood, all the illegalities can go against the corporation and not the actual persons who run the corporation. That's another subject. But Donald, I gotta go. But Happy New Year, and like usual, thank you for your great commentary, brother.
Yes, sir. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Mike. Come on in, Mike.
Hey, first time caller. I love your show. Not too good with expressing myself, but I do think this is possibly a convenient distraction, but it's bigger than that. I just enjoyed watching the press conference with my son, who's young and learning, but has been indoctrinated by his mom, who's been indoctrinated by Texas Talk Radio. But I just think it's funny when the news broke. You know, it's like, oh, if Trump's doing it, it must be okay. So I fear that the winning team has just accepted and going on with their own business of life and not really paying attention to what's going on. Maybe they are, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I love your show.
Let me first say, let me tell you, Mike, you're a good communicator. I don't know why you thought you weren't. Number one. Number two, you nailed it. And you want me to tell you something? That you sat down with your son to watch the news conference. That's wonderful. Even if your son right now is indoctrinated from what his mom is doing, the fact you're sitting down with him and doing that together, eventually you will be able to access his mind because he has that comfort level with you to do these kinds of things. So you keep up the good work, brother, and things will turn around. With respect to them, just saying.
It was amazing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, it is great.
It was amazing. Go on. Yeah. Yeah.
Now the other thing, brother, is this. The other side is asleep. But you know what happened on January 1st? Our brother Chuck Pinacchio, who's working on Healthcare for All, understands the pain that our people are going to be feeling. A lot of people, and specifically people in red states, as this new healthcare regime hits them. And when you're sick and poor and don't have anywhere to turn to, a lot of times that can wake some up. And I think that's exactly what will happen. But Mike, Happy New Year, and thank you so kindly for listening. Please share our station with others, my friend.
Yes, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Anyway, folks, we are at 52 right now. Let's see. Mayana, before I think the other subjects I can take some for tomorrow. Mayana said, did you have something you wanted to mention about Africa, Mayana, or did I read the message wrong?
Well, you didn't hit on Africa. I thought you were going to hit on Africa, so I had some things to say about like why I think like I'm trying to learn a little bit more, make sure that I have news sources and things like that I can go to find out more about Africa, because we don't, I want to make sure it's not just BBC and like, New York Times or whatever, and it's really interesting because when you go someplace else, then you can actually find out their side. So that's kind of like what I'm doing right now. But I figure like the reason that they went to Nigeria, my thought is that the Sahel, they call it, which is underneath the Sahara. Three of the countries have joined together. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And they have kind of joined together to kind of support each other and each other's, because the borders are not defined like it is here, Right. And so they have to take care of each other and they work together. So they're building a relationship. Nigeria is very close to that. Also, Burkina Faso has a very charismatic leader. Ibrahim Traoré, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Now let me just say this. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry. Continue real quick.
No, and so he is. He's like so appreciated by so many people. So he's very popular. He started a gold refinery because their main thing is like gold, and he started making it where no, we're not just going to give you the gold and then you take it out. We're making a gold refinery so it can be made here. The jewelry and all that can be made here. Jobs, everything.
We got two calls that I got to take in, but let me just say this: we're going to talk about that with France and Burkina Faso at another time. But thank you very much for that. Let's jump to Sarah. Sarah, 30 seconds. Sarah, 30 seconds. Sarah, you're on. Okay, let's go.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
I'm here. Okay, just a quick question. If things are so good in Cuba and Venezuela, why do we have 8 million Venezuelans fleeing their country?
Because things are not good. Who said things are good in Cuba and Venezuela?
Well, I mean, we're talking about a system that Chavez implemented.
Okay.
We're talking about socialism. We're talking
Let-
about
No, that's not what we're talking about at all.
Talking to this morning, he said that there's a clinic for every region. That there's like all these perfect education system,
No.
free for everyone, healthcare.
No, that's not what he said at all, ma'am. I don't have a lot of time, and that's why I interrupted you. Let me get the facts out there. The things are terrible in Cuba. Things are terrible in Venezuela. But it's not their economic system that did it. It is us who did it. I tell you what, Sarah, I will cover that tomorrow just for you, and I hope you'll be here to
Great.
listen at 6 in the morning. Okay?
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. All right, let's go to Bobby. Bobby, 30 seconds. I have to hold you to it, Bobby.
Okay, sure. 30 seconds is enough. In my opinion, Trump himself is facilitating the movement of cocaine by pardoning all these huge, drug offenders. One, she had a life sentence, and the other president who was moving tons of cocaine. So how can we get someone else to go through that huge hole in the side of the White House and abduct our president and take him somewhere? That would be nice.
Thank you, Bobby. You have a wonderful. You have a wonderful rest of your day, Bobby. We got to get out of here. Anyway, folks, I got to throw it to the LS studio.
Hey, sorry about that earlier. I just wanted to, I'm going to let Jack go. We'll do it tomorrow.
All right, American citizens, you have a fascist, corporate, corrupted government. We are acting with aggression throughout the world, waging war on sovereign countries so the fossil fuel corporate elites can steal their resources for their own benefit, not the citizens. The economy is great for the wealthy elites. The rest of America is suffering.
Thank you very much, Jack. And let me just say this, and I'm serious about this. Please, Mayana, don't ever come onto this program and say you're sorry for speaking out and speaking your mind, ever. This is a show open to everybody and everybody's voices. 100%. Thank you for your contribution as well. Anyway, without further ado, we got to get out of here. The rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by-in for the people. We're looking back at our most important stories of 2025 and what changes to expect for American democracy in 2026. If you're a voter, it's been a tough year. If you're a minority voter, it's been a really bad year. After a federal district court found that the Louisiana legislature had racially gerrymandered the state's congressional maps, it mandated 2 majority-minority districts to give Louisiana. Such accommodation is allowed under the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Section 2. But a group of, quote, non-African American voters